Hello, Buckaroo Banzai?
You a messenger? What you got here?
No, wait a minute. I need to see Buckaroo Banzai in person. My name is John Parker. Identify yourself, now?
Blue Blazer regular, Pinky Carruthers. Sorry, John, everybody needs see Buckaroo. Later.
Hello, cadets. Welcome to another episode of the Big Monster Briefing Room, episode 122. We're going to tackle a classic tonight. We're going to do the film that actually brought Universal back into the monster franchise, 1939 Son of Frankenstein, and it's our timeline is colorized. So I put a lot of work into this. Hope you appreciate it. Let me bring up my able-bodied assistants, Major Millie Hazzard and Master Sergeant Havoc. My God, my brain just had a fart. Big brain fart.
It's all the peach tea there, General. It's too much peach tea. That'll get to you.
It's lack of sleep. I'm colorizing movies. It's just lack of sleep is what it is.
Hold on a second, because Cadet Myers wants to know. He was watching the intro and he said, do you add a new clip in every time you add a new movie? Because he just noticed the cocaine bear.
No, that's always been in there. So yeah.
Yeah, but they're different for every season.
Every season, we do another 26, 28 movies. Yeah, I throw in clips from the movies we're going to do that season. So yes, we did Cocaine Bear and Prophecy, which was in there. The kid with the sleeping bag and the feathers everywhere. We did that a couple weeks ago.
And it was a laugh riot.
And luckily, there's not too many movies that need colorization anymore this season, so I can get some sleep. Let us not keep our guests waiting. Of course, we have our Franken expert with us, Ms. Jaime Bennett. Let's bring her on up.
Hello.
There she is. Thank you for coming on. And again, each time I do one of these films, the colorization just seems to get a little better and better. And the pictures in this one are just stunning. The colorization was really good on this one. So I was very happy with how it came out. So let's go ahead and tackle this monster. It's a Universal picture, obviously. What happened was in England, the censors decided to put an X rating on horror films, which made them harder to market in Europe. So Universal, after 3 or 4 years of success with monster movies, decided we're not going to do monster movies for a while. They didn't last very long because in 1938 they re-released Frankenstein and Dracula, and they were a huge success in their second run in the theaters. So they decided, you know what, let's go ahead and do it on a monster movie, see what happens. And this thing exploded. It's the third time Karloff comes back as the monster, and the final time. Belalugosi returns to Universal in this one as Igor, probably his best character, I think, that he ever portrayed in his career. That's my opinion. So we start out with the House of Frankenstein. The town is now called Frankenstein, which is, if they have such bad luck with this name, I would change the name. That's just me.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know. I was confused at first because they kept calling it Frankenstein. I was like, if you hate this person, why would you name your town after this?
Why would you name your town Frankenstein? I don't remember it being called Frankenstein in Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. I thought it was someplace else. And it becomes Visaria, I think, or Visaria, in later films. They decided to use a town that was fictitious because of World War II and all that. So they decided to go with Visaria. So this is verboten. Entrance is verboten. But up in the window, the broken window there, we have Bela Lugosi, almost unrecognizable as Igor.
Yeah.
Got the gnarly teeth and the thing coming out of his neck, the bone sticking through his neck. So the women are like, I can't even look at a place. Kids are throwing rocks at it. I mean, it's just, they just hate this place. They really, really hate this place.
And yet that would be my dream home.
There you go. So, and again, the sets in this, it's kind of minimal setting, but in a grand scale. I don't know how to describe it. We'll see these sets when they come up. This again, very minimal, but it gets the point across.
Yeah.
Kind of like the third season of Batman when they put a black curtain behind everything and just put stuff on the stage. Yeah. It's minimal, but it's grand on a grand scale. So the guy on the right here, Lionel Bellamore, was actually the burgomaster in the first movie in Frankenstein. And Niemöller, who played by Michael Mark, was actually Maria's father in the first film. Mm. The girl who gets thrown into the lake as a little boat. I can make a boat. So the town council there has decided they're not going to be friendly to Frankenstein when he comes in on train. He's coming to the village to claim his birthright to get the castle, and they don't want him there. They just want to keep the place shuttered up and just maybe put in a petition to change the town name. So, at this time, Basil Rathbone was very popular as Sherlock Holmes with Universal Studios. Actually, even later, he became more popular with Sherlock Holmes. And you would think in this, he would be, you wouldn't stop seeing Sherlock Holmes. But no, he actually does a great job playing, Wolf von Frankenstein. And Elsa von Frankenstein is played by Josephine Hutcherson. She's a great wife. That's all I'm going to say. She's put up with a lot. She puts up with a lot in this film, and she's still happy at the end of the film. So he shows up at the train station. It's a rainy, nasty day. And people show up just to see what he looks like. And then the minute he starts talking, they just hustle back home. It's like, okay, we've seen him. We have to be all your friends. Where's everybody going? And they're just not nice. not nice. They're not nice people at all.
Yeah, he's trying to make friends. He's trying to tell them, hey, I'm not like my daddy. I don't make creatures. And they're like, yeah, not having it.
I'm sorry, my father's monster killed a lot of you. But I hope you can bury the hatchet. Not literally. That's one of the aspects of this film I found kind of amusing, because he's always trying to be nice and friendly, and they just we don't trust you. You're a Frankenstein. But he has an adorable son played by Donnie Dunnigan. I guess the kid's about 4 here, but he's very intelligent. He's a very intelligent kid. Very talkative. And that is his nanny, Amelia, played by Emma Dunn. And the hair, what's funny is, when they wrote Mel Brooks's Young Frankenstein, this was the guide. Basically, this film was the guide for all the gags and stuff that they did in that movie. They've got an Inspector Kemp instead of Inspector Krogh, who has a wooden arm. And, Gene Wilder's hair, of course, is crazy and wild like this kid's hair. So keep thinking he might be the grandson of Frankenstein. And we have Benson, Thomas Benson, played by Edgar Norton, not Ed Norton, but Edgar Norton. And he takes him into the study there. Can we go back a slide to the or maybe 2 slides to the house when they first come in? I want you to see the set here. Look at that staircase. That's spirally. No. Went too far back now. Spiral. There we go. That's big spirally staircase. Look at how huge that set is. And yet there's really not a lot of like decoration or furniture there. It's just that huge ass staircase taking up everything.
Yeah.
And the big doors that, you know, I mean, it's kind of like what's the silent film with the insomnia? Dr. Caligari. It's kind of like the crazy world in Dr. Caligari.
Dr. Caligari, yeah. That's what I was thinking. It's kind of German expressionism style there with the crazy angles and the shadows and all that kind of stuff.
Huge ass vaulted ceilings on every floor.
yeah. And
you know, come on now.
Then we'll see the dining room later on, and it's all pretty cool.
Could you imagine trying to
dining table with stuff on it in the middle, and
Could you imagine trying to heat that place? Like,
well, that's why there are fireplaces all over. Yep,
that's true. But
now, speaking of cold, Igor's out there in the rain watching them toast to Dr. Frankenstein on the wall there. They had a nice big painting of Colin Clive. And the little kid does his prayers and goes to sleep. And man, this kid is out like that. He's a good kid. I mean, he goes right to sleep. He is out. But every time he comes into there, he's like, "Well, hello." That's his entrance thing. The fireplace is probably the size of
very much. Yep.
Correct. So he's getting equipment sent to the house, and that's got everybody all up in arms, and they're talking to the Inspector Krogh, and he's has to make a visit to check, make sure he's not making monsters and stuff. You're not building any monsters, are you? Like your father. And we realize that he has a prosthetic arm. Later, we find out that the Frankenstein monster actually ripped it out from his arm.
Well,
his arm off.
Yeah, he's telling the story there about, like, holy cow.
When he was a kid.
Yeah.
Which makes you think, how many terrifying things did this monster do when he was running amok in the first 2 films? The scenes we didn't see,
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
And wet Igor, probably smells like a old wet dog, is watching the kid, which is kind of creepy and nasty. Oh no, he's a pedo too.
There you go.
Yeah. So there it is. There's the dining room. Again, you've got these kind of things coming out with the boars' heads and stuff on the end. And wow, yeah, that's huge. Wow, hello! Here he comes. He smells some sweat, onions, and beer. Yeah, there you go. And pretzels.
Yes, gotta throw
We're
pretzels
go for
in
all
there.
the German tropes. So let's do it. Okay, let's just go all out.
Sauerkraut.
And sausage. He smells like salami and bear, and onions.
Sauerkraut.
Okay, sauerkraut. Yeah, there it is. Igor likes sauerkraut, Frankenstein. So he's talking about how he's going to go hunting. And he looks up and he sees that carved wild boar. And his mom's like, "Yes, that's a wild boar, just like your daddy when he's talking science." Sorry, I had to throw that in there. She's really a good wife. She really is. So all through the film, we're looking out the big back window at the lab. There's a huge lab out behind the house. Most people have a little tool shed, but I got a nice lab that I used to have a tower on it, but that's crumbled. It's fallen off. So he had to put a tarp. He had to put a tarp over the top of the lab. That's where I built monsters. That's where my dad built monsters. So he finally goes in, looks down. There's a tar pit, or not a tar pit, a sulfur pit at the bottom. This was thrown in for this film. There was I don't remember a sulfur pit being there in the first two movies, but they, whatever. So it serves its purpose here. And Igor tries to throw a rock on top of Wolf von Frankenstein, but luckily Wolf is stealthy, and he hears it. He moves out of the way, and he says, "I'm going to shoot you. You better come down here now." Now, Igor comes down. He explains who he is. He says, "Hey, I thought you were trying to kill me." Igor's always got an excuse. He's evil. Igor's an evil excuse-making bastard. They tried to hang me, but they cannot kill Igor. And he comes back in another movie after being shot, too. So, yeah, he's like the Frankenstein monster. You just can't kill this guy. Put a hockey mask on him. Jeez. So he explains the situation, and then he decides to show Dr. Frankenstein down to the family crypt. Evidently, there's a secret passage that goes down to the Frankenstein family crypt. Again, I thought there was a separate building for that, but here we are.
Nope.
So they go down, lit by torches. He shows him where his father's buried, where his grandfather's buried. And a villager had gotten down there somehow and carved into the top of his coffin a maker of monsters. Dr. Heinrich Frankenstein. Henry. When I looked at the credit there, I thought it said the Big Mouth Briefing Room. I'm a Big Mouth what? Big Monster Briefing Room. I don't know why it looked like that for a second there. That was just messing with my head. So then the big surprise is that laying on top of one of the crypts is the monster. And there he is. Boriskarloff. Now, he has a sunken in cheek because Boriskarloff used to take he had a half plate. And he used to take it out when he was playing the monster. So it would sink in that one cheek, making his face just look kind of weird. And that was his idea. So Igor explains to him that he found him out in the woods. He's sick, he's sleeping, but he's alive. He's in a coma. And Frankenstein's like, I can prove that I can correct everything my father made mistakes with. I can clear his name. And Igor's not helping by, egging him on. So he goes back to the coffin where he scratches out the maker of monsters and puts men. Maker of men. So just as crazy as his dad. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Nope.
Why don't you clear my family name so they don't change the name of the town? So we get back to the old biddies, the old burgermeisters and such. And they're pushing Krog to keep your eye on him, okay? Just keep going out there, keep pestering, be like Columbo. Just keep going back and irritating the hell out of him. For all of us. Excuse me, pardon me, but I noticed that you got a top over your lap.
What's that about? You making monsters over here.
And you got a lot of new equipment in.
For making monsters.
Yeah, there's a lot of tension going on between Wolf von Frankenstein and Krog because he's just trying to do his job, man. He's just trying to keep the villagers happy, keep them from lynching the family. He really is a good egg. He turns out to be a great guy at the end of the film. He's a hero. So, but he has to do his job. And again, everybody's suspicious that Frankenstein is up to no good. And there's Igor, which makes matters worse. So they bring the monster up to the lab level there from the crypt. They get him on the table. They lay him down. Very impressive scene where they're doing all this. And Frankenstein is going to do some experiments on the monster to see if maybe he can revive him. And here comes Benson. He's going to take notes. And Igor's not having it. Igor's like, no, he doesn't. He doesn't come to help me. He doesn't see the monster, or he doesn't call him a monster. He doesn't see my friend. He calls him his friend. And we find out later that it's his friend because he gets him to kill people. There were 11 guys that were like on the burgomaster jury or whatever that hung him, and like 9 of them are dead. And again, supposedly they were killed by the monsters. So you know what happened. Igor sent them out to kill these guys. So and they got shot. And Igor doesn't want Frankenstein to find that out. So when he's doing these experiments, they find out that the monster has like several bullets in him. That's one of the things that's probably put him in the coma. And so that's what Igor and the monster were doing up till this time. Further smearing the Frankenstein monster, or the Frankenstein family name. So Wolf actually talks him into letting Benson in, and the experiments begin, and they're looking at the monster closely. The big mouth briefing room. Again, the colorization here. Look at these pictures of these characters. I mean, my goodness. Just so happy with how the colorization came out for this. That's Ed Norton.
Norton,
my friend.
but yeah, Lugosi looks good there with the.
I know you know what I know that you know that I know, Norton. Hey, take a close look at the monster. We make up stuff when this show goes on that just nobody would ever think of. And that's the beauty of it.
It's part of the fun.
So every time Wolf does something, he gets more and more excited and more in awe of the monster and its capabilities. And I think Igor's starting to know this. He's playing on it. He wants his friend back. He wants to kill those last 2 guys. So they keep doing these experiments. Benson is taking notes. And Igor is watching the whole time. He does not want anybody to harm his friend, quote, unquote. So this is where they find out he's got a bunch of bullets in him, and you could see Igor's is a little fidgety, a little edgy that they have found this. Let's not put 2 and 2 together, guys. And the monster's blood is amazing. Evidently, it's regenerative somehow. I'm not sure why or how, but it's. And then out of nowhere, we have a scene where Igor is sent to talk to the Burgermeister and the old crones of the village, and he remembers Emil Long is the name of that character, and again, that was the guy that was the Burgermeister in the first one, and Neumüller is the one that's yelling at him from the left. Yes, I remember you, Emil Long. They remind him that they hung him, and they could try to hang him again. And then on his way out, he spits on Neumüller. He coughs. He goes, "Oh, you spit on me." Sorry, the bone in my neck. It's a great bit. I'm wondering if Lugosi kind of improvised that.
Probably.
So, again, Lugosi was putting it all in on this one. He wanted to get back in with Universal, Unfortunately, they didn't pay him a lot, but he did get back in with the studio.
Yeah, he did a great job. He's pretty good, Igor.
Well, unfortunately, he didn't come back as Dracula until because they thought he was too old. When he played Frankenstein in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, he collapsed on the set because he was 61 years old by that time, and. He's about 58, 59 here. It just wasn't a pleasant experience for the studio. They had to get a couple of stuntmen to play the Frankenstein monster in a lot of scenes. Gil Perkins, and there was another one. I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say Eddie Parker. I think it was Eddie Parker. Yeah. So and Chaney was like, I'm your monster guy now, so I get to play Dracula next. So he did Son of Dracula. That didn't go over well. So they ended up hiring John Carradine to play Dracula in House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula. But it was the director of Abbott and Costello's Frankenstein that demanded that they bring Lugosi back as Dracula, and they made it work. They put makeup on him, and again, it wasn't too strenuous. He didn't have to wear 40-pound suit, monster suit. So they were able to make it work, and it was wonderful to see him as Dracula again in that movie. So anyway, Igor is my favorite Lugosi character ever. So he's just a great character. He's just gnarly rogue. So Wolf brings up a scalpel, and Igor's like, don't hurt my friend. And he's like, you're right. I have to see this creature at its full capacity. And so they bring the monster, or they light up the place with all the Frankenstein toys. There they are. Now these monster things, the monster machines, are in all the Frankenstein movies. They're hired from the same guy. The same guy rents them out to the studio for these things. So you see them in just about every Frankenstein movie. So they try their best to juice him up, to jumpstart him. And he's like, like he's having a bad dream. You can see that cheek there on the left side, how it's sunken in. When other actors played the monster, they just made it kind of like a beauty mark on the side of his face. And I think with Glenn Strange, they didn't even care anymore. It's just like, get rid of it. We don't need it. Look at those craggy cheeks. We don't need it. So, in that scene, and again, I'm wondering if Lugosi came up with that shtick. He grabs the monster's hand, not realizing he's electrified. Should have zapped him across the room, actually. So, should have tased him. He should have just went right to the floor. The monster wakes up and sees Benson. And Benson's kind of does a double take. And it looks like he's holding something up like he's going to cut him or something, but that actually he's just holding a handle of one of the machines. They turn off the machines, and he's, listening, and no change. So he's like, sorry, Eagle. Oh, I tried. I did my best. And then we get a quick scene where we find out that a lot of people don't want to work in the House of Frankenstein, and this one guy's like, I really don't want to work there anymore. They're cranking up the lab again. I don't want to be around that place. And Krog says, no, you have to be our spy. You have to go back and you have to work. So this guy's a spy in the House of Frankenstein. Von Frankenstein. So we have another dinner scene because Elsa has invited him back for a dinner. And he's, taking full advantage of that. And there's the spy. And she mentions that Benson, she asks the guy, where's Benson? He usually serves us. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, Miss Benson has disappeared. He's not around. And that sets off the Krog. He's like, And Wolf shows up. And Wolf is like, oh, Inspector Krog again. And in these colorized slides, Wolf seems to like powdered blue a lot. A lot of his outfits are powder blue. Powder blue and black, this one. So he sits down to have dinner with Inspector Krog. And they go back and forth, doing their little thing. And, Wolf looks uncomfortable. Well, hello! Here he comes. And he talks about, hunting big game, and he says he met a giant. And we get a great reaction shot from both Wolf and Krog on that one. Did they say giant? Did he have a flat head? And of course, Wolf's like, let me get this little precocious one up to bed. He takes him up to bed. He's like, so tell me, Peter, tell me about your giant. And he does the walk. And that's it. It's over. So Frankenstein has to run back to the lab now because he knows the monster is walking around. And Amelia is he has such an imagination. Yes, doesn't he though? I've got to go to the lab. And he's got to get past Krog.
Yeah, the dialogue between these two is actually the best part of this movie.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I got to go to the lab for a thing.
Yeah, again, Wolf thinks he's got everything under control, and then they're always throwing him curveballs. Especially Igor. So he goes to the lab. He doesn't see anything. He goes looking around the table there, and here comes the monster up behind him. Dun, 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 dun. And they meet for the first time. I mean, really meet. They're both conscious. And he doesn't recognize him. He kind of looks like his dad. It's like, don't strangle me. I got a headache. Got any ibuprofen? And, he's supposed to be able to talk. He could talk in the last film. Ibuprofen, good. Fire, bad. So he looks at himself in a mirror, and he's not happy, as you would expect. He's got scars and a flat head, and bolts sticking out of his neck. So he brings Frankenstein Wolf over, and does the thing with the face. And, he's trying to figure it out. Oh, this is me, huh? Not happy. No good plastic surgeon. And then Igor shows up and everything's cool. My friend. So Igor shows up and he tells Frankenstein, oh, look, you harness the lightning, you make him well again. And Frankenstein's like, well, he's not well. He's not well up here, Igor. Which we'll see in the next slide. There he is.
An abnormal brain.
And he's like, he's good enough for... That damn phone call just cut over my line, didn't it? He's good enough for Igor. So Frankenstein now is like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And look at the smile on that monster. So happy with Igor. So he knows, this is bad. This is very bad. And he goes and he tells Benson, I saw the monster. It was incredible. He goes on and on and on. We have to control Igor somehow, though, because Igor controls the monster. And they don't realize Igor is right upstairs listening through a secret passage. Not good. So this pretty much seals Benson's fate. So Igor and the monster go through the caverns. They decide they're gonna go ahead and kill Long. So they go through. Oh no, I'm sorry. Newmiller gets killed first. He actually drives by the house and he spits at Igor upstairs. Of course, it doesn't reach that far, but it's the thought that counts. So he doesn't see Frankenstein's monster up in the window. He was already driven by that time. So Igor's like, do it, man. They got their own sign language. And the monster goes out. Now, this look of the monster, by the way, with the fur, he's got like kind of a fur vest on. it's one of my favorite looks for Frankenstein's monster. I don't know why. It just is. And Marvel Comics, we'll see this later after the timeline. Marvel Comics actually kind of used that when they did their Frankenstein monster comic books. So there it is. And he swoops Neumüller off the cart. The cart stops. He puts Neumüller under the front wheels of the cart and sends it over him, killing him for good. I mean, he's already killed him, but he wants to make sure. And Igor controls the monster with his horn there, his horn of plenty, his horn of creepy. And we have another dinner scene. And Krog is there again. He's been called to dinner again. Oh, and I'm sorry. This is where they find out that Benson is missing. I'm sorry. I said that earlier at the earlier dinner scene. But Benson is not serving now. It's the spy. And he tells him, oh, well, Benson is not here, ma'am. We don't know where he is. And again, we get reaction shots from Wolf and Krog. And Wolf is like, he used to drink, I think. Maybe he's in one of the taverns around here. And you can see the reaction from Krog. Yeah, right. So, luckily for the Frankensteins, Krog is called away because there's been a murder, or one of the town bigwigs is found dead. So he needs to go. And that's good for Wolf because he wants to go to the lab and check and find out what's going on. So he goes there and he confronts Igor. And Igor is like, where's Benson? I know you did something to Benson. He's like, Benson came in, saw the monster. He ran into the woods. Yeah, a likely story. But, Wolf can't really do much because the Frankenstein monster wakes up from a bad dream. And Igor...
Oh.
Uh-oh.
General
and will not let Wolf near the monster. He's like, no, you don't touch him anymore. He's mine. Now, in the next film, Ghost of Frankenstein, Igor gets his brain into the monster's body, so he gets to be with the strength of 100 men, as he says. And in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, the monster actually talked with Lugosi's voice because it was Lugosi playing the monster. And there was, a lot of scenes shot where he was telling, Larry Talbot about what happened to him and stuff like that. And when they tested it on test audiences, the audiences were laughing because they couldn't understand why the monster was speaking. And it sounded like Bela Lugosi. So the studio decided to cut all of the dialogue, all of the monster's dialogue from the film. The film was only like an hour and 10 minutes after they cut it. And Lugosi's, that doesn't explain why the monster is walking around blindly because he can't see. He's walking around blindly with his arms out, So it was just kind of ridiculous in that respect. But again, it's a classic. A lot of people love Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, even though the fight at the end is kind of short. The big build up, like wah, wah, wah. So we have the bedtime scene where there's a thing where the heads of the beds are together. It's a good luck thing. To keep you safe from monsters, that kind of thing. It's a superstitious thing. So, unfortunately, the kid is out. The kid is not going to wake up at all. Again, they were doing that lab. Again, it has a tarp over it, so it's got to be loud. You got to hear everything that goes on in that lab. And they had the machines going for like 10, 15 minutes. When they're trying to juice up the monster. None Nobody says anything about hearing that. She hears the horn though. He's sending the monster out again. Like the second night. I mean, he's back. He's going to kill another guy. Let's go ahead and get this done. So he goes after Long and kills Long in his house. There's just a shadow on the wall of him killing Long, strangling him and beating him to death in his home. And the villagers find his body and they go crazy. He's like, that's the monster again. Frankenstein's back. It's got to be him. So Krogh goes back to him and says, look, I have to stick around you now like stink on rice. Whatever. I can't remember the dialogue exactly, but he goes, I have to protect you from the villagers. The villagers want to break down the wall, or break down the front gate, and come in and lynch you and your wife and your son and your servants. So, Wolf is like, this is ridiculous. Poppycock, What? Do you think I'm making monsters? Well, yes, I do. So he explains that two of the people that are, responsible for hanging Igor are dead now. Well, it's Igor. Igor's the one that's doing it. So let's go talk to him. And of course, Igor's extremely happy about all this. He's laughing. Villagers. Of course, he looks different at the beginning of Ghost of Frankenstein when they're bombing the castle. Then it's serious. So, yes. So we go back into the house, and again, he has to explain to his wife, Krogh is back because he says he has to protect us. He thinks that I'm building monsters, that I've created, I've revived the monster, or maybe I've whipped up a new one, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, my husband's being an incredible dick. I'm so sorry. I've never seen him like this, really. It must be you. You just set him off. You push his buttons. He's being a real peckerhead. I'm very sorry. Very, very sorry. So Krogh takes advantage of being back in the house to go talk to the boy, Peter, about his giant. He goes, so Peter, where does your giant come from? Well, right over there. He points to the wall. And Krogh's like, oh, really? So he knows now there's probably a secret passage there, as these castles, they all have secret passages. Yeah. And so he gives Krogh a watch that the giant gave to him. And it's the watch of Benson. Thomas Benson, it says on the inside of the watch. So now Krogh knows that Benson's been killed by Igor the monster. His body is probably somewhere in the walls of the castle, in the walls of the Frankenstein house. But he gets called away again because now Long is dead. And he's being called away for that. So on the left, Wolf is making the poopy face. Why are you making the poopy face, dear? Please don't do that. Don't make the poopy face. And then Krogh gets called away. And he's like, oh, good. Now I can go to the lab. See, I told you. Tell me I'm wrong. I can go to the lab now. So he goes to the lab and he goes down into the crypt area where the monster sleeps. And he's going to conk the monster over there with a big giant rock. And then Igor stops him. No, Frankenstein. And then he basically tells him, you go now. He and me we are friends. You go. We will. He saves Frankenstein's life. This is a surprise. It's not like Igor to stop the monster from killing somebody that could, get in their way. So I'm very, very surprised. Yeah, that Igor let him live. That Igor actually just didn't kill him and put him in the walls and let him figure it out later. So the villagers are still at the gate when Krogh comes back, of course. Krogh goes in, and Wolf Frankenstein by this time is at the end of his wits, and he's playing darts with himself. I can fancy a game of darts. And he's totally out of control, or everything is out of control, and he can't get his hand, he can't get a rope around it, and he knows it, and his whole world is coming crashing down. So he's this is some great acting by Basil Rathbone. This is why you don't see Sherlock Holmes in this film.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'm way late. Well, you're here. You can go back and watch the replay too. So Krog goes back up to the kids' room because he wants to check out that wall. You know, he got called away too soon. So he checks the wall, and sure enough, he finds a little magic handle there. But at this time, well, I know what happened. He goads Frankenstein, makes him angry. He goes, well, I'll go down to the lab and I'll talk to Igor. Oh, we'll settle this. He decides he's going to run to the... So he goes to the lab. Igor thinks he's come to kill him. So Igor pulls his magic hammer. Bang, bang, Igor's silver hammer went down upon his head. But hey, he doesn't realize this guy's been in Errol Flynn films. So he swashbuckles around a rope there, kicks him over to the side of the room, and then pulls the gun and shoots him. Oh, you got me. So Igor is shot several times. He shoots him a couple times, like 3 or 4 times, I think. And he goes down. But of course, when it came time to make the next movie, Igor survived. No explanation as to how he survived 3-4 bullets. They were gut shots. So Frankenstein runs back to the house. I don't want to be stuck next to the dead body. Krog opens the wall there at the kids' room, and he finds Benson's body. And he finds the little chain that Benson's watch was on, so he knows that the watch was taken from the body right there by the kids' room. So Frankenstein's monster comes back into the lab, and he finds Igor dead. So very emotional scene for Karloff. You know, it's amazing the kind of range of emotion Karloff shows as this monster.
Yeah.
Throughout these 3 films, all 3 of these films, nobody caught the monster's emotions better than Karloff. He really made him kind of sympathetic, even though he was a big, huge, cold-blooded, killing Hulk. You still kind of felt sorry for him in places, you know. So, yeah. So Krog goes back to Wolf in the study. Wolf is back in the study playing darts again. And he says, look, here's what I think. I think you've revived a monster. I think that it's out of control. I think that Igor... And he goes, well, I killed Igor. So there. It's all done. Igor's dead now. So there it is. I killed him myself because he was killing people. And you can see how that Krog reacts to that. Well, you're going to jail then because you just did murder. Well, it was in self-defense. He tried to kill me with his hammer. Yes, I'm paraphrasing a lot. So the monster lays Igor out on his bed down in the crypt. And he proceeds to trash the lab. Okay? Nobody hears this. Again, the lab is right next door. He's throwing shit down into the sulfur pit, causing explosions. Nobody hears it. A friggin' shuttle goes off. You feel the sonic boom, but nobody hears this.
There's some thick walls.
There's a tarp on the roof. Sound rises. But again, it's not convenient for people to hear all that stuff because everybody go, hey, let's go to the lab. What's going on in the lab? He just threw a giant table down into the sulfur pit. But nothing. Would you like to throw another dot? So the monster is just throwing stuff around, and he comes across the fairy tale book that the kid gave him. Or actually, I think he took it from the kid. I think the kid makes some kind of comment about, well, he took my book. That giant bastard. Isn't that what he said? Hazard?
I think he gave.
I want to bring Hazard
the
in on
book
this.
to him. Gave the book to him.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
So now, here's the thing. Karloff has some acting to do here because he's got to show in his face, I'm going to kill that kid for revenge. But wait a minute, that kid is the only friend I've got now.
Oh.
So, he's weighing it up in his mind. That's a serious acting job right there. So, but Karloff manages to do it and do it well. So he goes through the secret passage. He's looking at the kid. The kid is out, man. He's sawing logs. This kid is a great sleeper. He does a little thing where he closes the door. Amelia gets out of her chair. She's right outside the door. She's keeping an eye on the kid. She goes in, and the monster throttles her. So, yeah, he's killing housekeepers. He's killing nannies. So he takes him back through he's going back to the lab through the secret passage, and they're playing darts. And the mother comes in and sees that the kid is gone and that Amelia is on the floor, dead, apparently. Ah! So she screams. They react. Now, here's where Krogh is a smart guy, okay? Wolf is going to run to the lab. You know that. He knows that. So he goes up to the kid's bedroom. But anyway, the monster, here's a great scene where the monster holds the kid over the sulfur pit. You think he's going to throw the kid in the sulfur pit. He holds him there for a minute. Feel that, kid. Feel that burn. And then he puts him on the ladder so he can go up to the lab level. Wolf can't get in the door because the monster has thrown stuff in front of the door that it won't open. So he has to climb up the side of the wall. Now, while he's doing this, Krogh is in the bedroom and he's going through the passage because he's a smart guy. And he knows he can get the jump on the monster or whatever is in the lab. So, hey, did we miss something? We did. Go back 2 slides. Or 3 slides, maybe. Okay. Here's the incredible thing. And I don't know if the kid did this just being a kid or what have you, or if it was written into the script. But after Karloff saves his life, the kid actually helps him up from that. He actually gives him his hand and helps him. Like the kid's going to, not be, he's going to be able to pull that huge Hulk up there. But he tries, and again, it's a touching moment that the kid, befriends this monster and is trying to help him up. I just love that about that scene. I don't know why, but it just struck me as he almost killed you, but hey, look at this. So the monster made the right decision. Keep the kid alive. He's a good kid. And he's my friend. Okay, so in the lab, let's go forward 3 or 4 slides. Here we go. Krogh. Okay, in the lab, he's got the kid under his arm because he hears Frankenstein trying to get through the front door. And then Krogh comes up behind him because he went through the passageway, same as they did. So when he sees Krogh, he does the and Krogh wants to shoot him, but he can't shoot him because he's got the kid under his arm. So Krogh puts his arm out, his wooden arm. This guy is a real hero, and gets his arm torn off again by the monster. The monster tears the arm right out. Of course, it doesn't hurt as much this time because it was just a prosthetic arm. But but the memories. So the monster, getting his arm, realizes he's got to put the kid down. So he puts the kid down and puts his foot on the kid. Okay, now Krogh can shoot him, which he does. And the kid's like, Daddy, there's too much excitement all at once. The kid is crying now. He's shooting my friend. So, okay, again, this guy's been in Errol Flynn films. He knows what to do. So he grabs a rope from up in the roof area there, and he swings down and the monster goes boom over the edge and into the sulfur pit. Ta-da! The kid luckily doesn't roll off into the sulfur pit too. and me thinks it's a stunt monster.
Yep.
So yeah, lots of nice shots of the sulfur pit exploding as the monster goes in, and they have a mannequin with a flat head coming back up through the through the muck and the mire. So you're for sure okay. He's dead. He's gone in there. But amazingly, in the next movie, he survives. He comes back. The sulfur pit solidifies. It hardens, and he's trapped in there. And an explosion frees him, and Lugosi's able to pull him out. Igor's able to pull him out. It's amazing. And he gets struck by lightning, which gives him strength again. So here's another cool thing. Krog goes to the front door, and he gets all the junk and tables and stuff out of the way with one arm. That's a heroic guy. That's a great guy right there. So that Elsa can come in and be with her family. And folks, it's truly a happy ending. Amelia, the nanny, didn't die. There she is. The monster didn't kill her. That's a surprise. He throttled her, by gosh. Made her pass out, but didn't kill her. So there's the happy family together again. Oh, we've been through so much. And at the train station, we cut right to the exit. Before you realize that, my monster killed so many of your people, and we're responsible for, letting Igor run amok. And I hope you can forgive me for wearing this powder blue suit. Let's go back to that slide. Oh my gosh, you ruined that joke. The colorization of this slide, I don't know why. Again, powder blue suit. But my son is very cute, so we're going to get on this train as fast as we can and get the hell out of here. And we're giving you the keys to the castle. It's yours. That's basically what he said. I paraphrased a little bit, but. And they get on the train, and off they go. And Krog is there. He's got his arm put back on. To the lumberyard! That's the line from Young Frankenstein, where they expect the Kemp. He pulls his arm off. And that's the end of the Universal picture. And we have our cast. Basil Rathbone, Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, Lionel Atwill. No Lon Chaney. He had not stepped in yet to do the Wolfman and become the monster guy of Universal Studios yet. But there it is. And then we get the rest of the cast and the Burgermeisters. Now, I want to show you a few pictures real quick while we have a minute or two. They did some color test footage. They were going to make this film in color. And they did some test footage for Jack Pierce, the makeup guy, of Karloff in his makeup and in his costume. And there it is. That's the actual way it looked. Wow. And he's got a green tint to him. Keep moving forward. He looks very green, and the studio didn't like it. And they wanted to save money anyway. No, going to make it black and white, just like the other films. So yeah, he had a brown fur coat over a brown suit, and there's Karloff goofing around. Turn the camera on. And there's Jack Pierce. This is probably the only color footage of Jack Pierce, the makeup artist that created the Frankenstein makeup, the Wolfman, the Mummy, all of the Universal monsters in the early 30s and 40s. He was replaced because he took too long to do a lot of makeups. He did makeups from scratch every morning. He would put these guys in a chair for 3 hours and such. And I was telling you earlier that they kind of went with the fur coat look with Frankenstein's monster in the Marvel comics. Sometimes he had a purple shirt on, sometimes he had a gray shirt on, sometimes he had blue pants on, sometimes he had green pants. It was up to the color department. Sometimes he had jeans and a purple shirt. What are you gonna do? But there's that fur vest. It's split open in the front now, so it looks like a hippie vest. Flower power, man. But there it is. Thank you, Hazzard, so much. Thank you so much. And again, that green face, Frankenstein, that's a face that only a mother can love.
Thank you. That's what I live
Thought
for.
I was going to forget again, didn't you?
I wanted to pop up earlier and remind you. I said, no, he's going to get it. He's going to remember. He's going to.
And Igor. There's a face.
Oh, there's a face.
That's why Frankenstein and Igor are friends, because Igor makes Frankenstein, like the monster, look good.
There you go.
Yeah, when they're at a party together, you know, people are going, "Oh, look at that ugly guy with all the fur on his face." No, sorry, Havoc. So, okay, on Thursday, we'll be back for episode 123, which is going to be Fright Night, the 1985 original version, the good one. I shouldn't say that. I haven't seen the other one, and I'm sure it's got its moments, but love that film. It's a great film. And we're going to have the return of Barbie Van Helsing. She's going to be back. She's alive. She's alive. So, going to be a lot of fun. Thank you again, Hazzard, for all you do for us.
Thank you. I love all of y'all. I just love all of you.
You know, I very rarely hear the word y'all coming from somebody from Yonkers, but there it is.
It's been hanging around me too much.
For joining us for this Franken romp, and always thank you, Havoc, for being here to give us your insight on these things. If you want to kill a monster, flip him into a sulfur pit.
That's right.
That's fire bad. All right. Keep an eye out for those big monsters, everybody. We'll see.